The first player to see his World Cup come to an end in 2026 did not leave because his team lost, because of a tactical mistake, or because of an injury to himself. Instead, his tournament was effectively over because of a disciplinary ruling that has ignited one of the fiercest debates football has seen in years. In a competition designed to celebrate the world's game, one challenge changed 2 careers in a matter of seconds and forced everyone to ask a difficult question. Should football punish actions, or should it punish consequences? The answer sounds simple until you witness a moment that leaves one player in hospital and another carrying the weight of an entire nation's anger. The incident occurred during a match that already seemed decided. Canada were in complete control, playing with confidence and freedom, while Qatar struggled to contain wave after wave of attacks. Then, in the second half, everything stopped. A late challenge on Ismail Kone resulted in a devastating injury that instantly changed the atmosphere inside the stadium. Supporters who had been celebrating goals suddenly fell silent. Players from both teams signaled desperately for medical staff. The game itself became secondary. In those moments, football reminded everyone how quickly joy can transform into shock. The player responsible, Asim Medivo, immediately understood something terrible had happened. The reaction on his face said more than any statement ever could. There was no celebration, no argument, no attempt to defend himself, only disbelief and regret. Yet within hours, the conversation moved far beyond the emotions of the moment. Attention shifted toward punishment, responsibility, and what justice should actually look like in elite sport. Nobody disputed that the challenge deserved punishment. The real disagreement centered on how severe that punishment should be. FIFA's decision to impose a lengthy suspension effectively guaranteed that Medivo would play no further part in the tournament. For many observers, that felt appropriate. A player had suffered a major injury. His World Cup dream had ended, and accountability needed to exist. Others, however, viewed the decision differently. They argued that football authorities were responding more to public outrage and disturbing images than to the nature of the tackle itself. That distinction matters. Every weekend across leagues around the world, players arrive a fraction too late, miss time tackles, and receive bookings. Most incidents end with a free kick and a warning. Occasionally, the consequences become catastrophic. The laws of the game attempt to judge intent, recklessness, and danger, yet human beings naturally react to outcomes. When a challenge results in a broken leg rather than a bruised ankle, emotions inevitably influence opinions. The question is whether disciplinary systems should allow those emotions to determine justice. Supporters defending the punishment point toward player safety. They argue that modern football must send an unmistakable message. Dangerous challenges carry severe consequences. From this perspective, the exact intentions of the player matter less than protecting opponents from unacceptable risks. If athletes know that catastrophic outcomes will bring harsh penalties, perhaps they will think twice before making desperate or reckless interventions. Football, after all, has evolved significantly over the decades. Actions once considered normal are now rightly condemned. Yet critics see another issue entirely. They believe that consistency matters more than symbolism. Similar tackles often receive dramatically different sanctions depending on what happens afterward. One player escapes with a yellow card because his opponent avoids serious harm. Another receives a tournament-ending ban because terrible fortune intervenes. If identical actions produce entirely different punishments, are authorities evaluating behavior or merely responding to headlines? That concern lies at the center of the controversy. The images from the aftermath complicated matters further. Reports emerged that Medivo visited Kone in hospital. Photographs showing the two embracing circulated rapidly across social media. To many people, that gesture demonstrated genuine remorse and mutual understanding. The injured player himself reportedly accepted the apology without hesitation. Such moments remind us that athletes often process events differently from supporters, commentators, and administrators. Those directly involved sometimes find forgiveness long before the public does. Of course, forgiveness does not eliminate responsibility. Professional players accept certain obligations when stepping onto the field. Timing, control, and awareness separate elite performers from amateurs. A mistimed challenge, regardless of intent, can alter lives. Therefore, some level of punishment remains necessary. The difficulty lies in determining where accountability ends and excessive retribution begins. History provides numerous examples that fuel skepticism regarding consistency. Football governing bodies have occasionally demonstrated flexibility when suspensions threaten to remove major stars from marquee occasions. Fans remember situations where technical bans disappeared, appeals succeeded with remarkable speed, or disciplinary interpretations suddenly changed. Whether fair or not, such memories create suspicion whenever lesser-known players receive severe treatment. People inevitably wonder whether reputation influences justice. In Medivo's case, supporters emphasize his previous record. He had not built a career defined by violent conduct or repeated dismissals. Teammates described him as committed but respectful. Opponents rarely viewed him as malicious. Those factors, critics argue, should have influenced the final decision more heavily. Punishment should reflect not only a single moment, but also the broader character and history of the individual involved. Others reject that reasoning entirely. They insist that prior good behavior cannot reduce accountability for an action with devastating consequences. Footballers understand the physical risks associated with competition. Maintaining high standards means applying regulations firmly regardless of personal reputation. Allowing sympathy to influence outcomes, they argue, creates a different kind of inconsistency. Rules must apply equally to everyone, from global superstars to squad players fighting for recognition. The debate ultimately reveals something fascinating about sport itself. We want games to deliver emotion, intensity, commitment, and passion. We celebrate last-ditch tackles, fearless challenges, and players willing to sacrifice everything for victory. Yet those same qualities occasionally produce heartbreaking moments. When they do, society struggles to determine where courage ends and recklessness begins. Modern football faces increasing pressure to prioritize welfare. Medical understanding has advanced. Long-term consequences of serious injuries are better documented than ever before. Governing bodies therefore operate within an environment that demands visible action. Severe sanctions communicate commitment to safety, even if individual cases remain controversial. From an institutional perspective, appearing lenient after a horrific injury may seem impossible. Still, justice requires more than appearances. Effective disciplinary systems depend upon predictability and transparency. Players must understand precisely what behaviors lead to specific punishments. Supporters must trust that decisions emerge from principles rather than public relations concerns. Whenever outcomes feel arbitrary, confidence erodes. Debates intensify not because everyone disagrees with punishment itself, but because people disagree about how standards are being applied. The emotional dimension cannot be ignored either. Medivo will carry this incident for the rest of his career. Every future appearance may revive memories of that afternoon. For Cohn, rehabilitation and recovery now become the priority. Both men experience profound disappointment through entirely different circumstances. One lost his opportunity to compete. The other lost his ability to participate at all. Neither outcome deserves celebration. As the tournament continues, new controversies will inevitably emerge. Football always generates arguments about referees, suspensions, and fairness. Yet this particular case feels different because it forces a deeper conversation about luck. If the same challenge produces a bruise instead of a fracture, does everything change? Should fortune determine justice? Or must authorities acknowledge that consequences matter because they reflect real human suffering? Reasonable people reach different conclusions. Some believe strong punishment protects future players and reinforces essential standards. Others see a disciplinary process influenced too heavily by emotion and public pressure. Both perspectives contain elements of truth. That complexity explains why the discussion refuses to disappear. Perhaps the most important lesson involves humility. Split-second decisions made at full speed rarely fit neatly into categories of innocence or guilt. Human beings make mistakes. Athletes misjudge distances. Accidents happen even within professional environments. Recognizing those realities does not excuse harmful actions, but it does encourage balance when assigning blame. The legacy of this incident will extend beyond a single tournament. Administrators, coaches, players, and supporters will continue debating what fairness truly means in contact sports. Is justice rooted in intentions, actions, or outcomes? Football has never fully answered that question, and perhaps it never will. What remains certain is that one moment transformed two World Cup journeys forever and left the global game confronting uncomfortable truths about accountability, compassion, and consistency. Long after trophies are lifted and celebrations conclude, discussions surrounding this decision may endure. They challenge assumptions about discipline and expose tensions between emotion and principle. Whether people agree with FIFA's ruling or condemn it as excessive, everyone recognizes the significance of the debate itself. The world watched a tragedy unfold on a football pitch. Determining the appropriate response afterward proved every bit as complicated as the incident that started it all.